It's late. It's 8:25 a.m. Day 4 of week 18. Why am I starting so late, you might ask? Well, it's because somebody was up late. I went to bed kind of early, like around, probably was falling asleep close to 10:30 p.m., I'm gonna guess. And then got up for the bathroom around 12:30, a little after midnight, and ended up, unfortunately, having to deal with somebody else being up. It looks like they were cleaning, throwing stuff out, and it was making enough noise that it kept me up till probably like after 2, so, and then they were kind of up and down a couple times between like maybe 1 and 3 a.m. So very annoying. But I kind of turned on my sound machine, was like blasting the sound machine. That didn't really help, but I don't know. But I'm on a little bit of a different routine this morning, I guess, because I had intended to wake up and get applications done, but I didn't really get up till like 7:30, and then didn't get out of bed till like just before 8, and then I was basically just before 8 I started cooking breakfast, and I was cooking till probably about 8:15 a.m. or so. Then I was kind of just getting my stuff together, my clothes that I'm going to wear, and my waters I'm going to drink, and getting everything in my room, so I'm not kind of like going back and forth. But I was up late. Part of the time I was listening to this menstrual health tips video. It didn't have a lot of direct tips, but it was on Queer Collective podcast, and it had a few tips on there to kind of get a better understanding of certain patterns and things to try to manage mostly the discomfort and pain aspects of menstrual cycles. They kind of talked about like what's normal. I was gonna kind of recap some of that stuff. There really wasn't a lot of like detailed information step by step, but I'll talk about some of the stuff that I'm probably gonna incorporate into my own routines, because they kind of mentioned some things in there that I probably needed those notes too, because obviously I'm not usually having an easy time with those times of the month, so, and almost never have. There have been times in my life though when things were better than normal, better than they are now with that, and better than normal. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of what I think I've learned and already started incorporating, I guess, this morning. I'm about to eat breakfast. Just wanted to talk about that. I'm eating a half a pita. I guess one pita, I think it's like 90 calories. With a little Amazon brand hummus cup, 3 eggs. I already had a protein shake. I already had a little bit of ginger tea. 5 strawberries. Just a little salt, pepper, and a little smidge of avocado sauce on these eggs. So I'm gonna eat this up, and then I'll get to podcasting while I'm stretching. I'm gonna go do an apartment gig. I'm hoping to leave the house at like, I think the bus said 10:12, and then the other one was like 10:42 a.m. or something. Probably gonna drop by the dispensary on my way to this gig, and then on my way back from the gig, I will probably be I don't know. I'll see if I drop by the gym or not, or just take like a walk. I'll see. It might just depend on the timing of the buses and everything. I might walk from one stop to the next, or walk a couple stops down or something. I haven't really decided yet. It's going to depend on what the buses look like, and it's going to be approaching lunchtime when I'm headed back anyways. So once it's approaching lunchtime, I'm gonna see how I feel, if I'm like hungry or whatever. Alright, that breakfast was good. It's 8:47 a.m. So I ate a little earlier than most days. Like a lot of days I've been eating at like 9 a.m. or so. So some of the things that they were mentioning in this video, and I'll post it, they were talking about, I just had 25 milligrams of caffeine, but they were talking about trying to, I guess things that I don't do that they're saying. They say, I guess overall trying to focus on gut health, liver health, kind of like pelvic floor, and cortisol levels. So things like caffeine, on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning, before having any protein, instead of like eating some protein first, giving a little break, and then doing the cortisol, the caffeine, signs such as, if you're waking up between like, I think they said like 2 and 4 a.m. or something like that, which I've complained often that I am definitely doing that almost every night. Like all the stuff where you're paying attention to your body, right? Like I've talked about, I get these like weird like night sweats. I don't really get the nipple tenderness as much since I've almost linked that almost directly to coffee. I think the last time I had that experience, it was near Christmas, the period near Christmas, when I had coffee. That was probably the last time I had coffee. And before that, I don't remember, but I'd been drinking a little bit of coffee at certain points, but I've definitely been drinking pre-workouts, and I have noticed when I'm on my cycle, and I was kind of blaming the mornings, but I was like, when I'm on my cycle, having caffeine in the morning, usually about 30 or 45 minutes after, even if I'm not, like, if there's no bleeding in the morning, I'll be bleeding a little after that. And I was kind of like, I wonder if it's just because I started getting activity, or if it's because of the caffeine. And I'm like, it's the caffeine. I think it's the caffeine. It might be both, but I've had this routine for years now of just get up, C4 is right there next to my bed, sip a bit of it, start stretching, and do this kind of podcast recording. And then maybe that part wasn't for years, but I've had the routine of like keeping caffeine very close, usually before breakfast, if not during breakfast or after breakfast. So today, I think I had my protein shake around like 8 a.m. and I'm having this caffeine around 8:47 a.m. but only 25 milligrams. Let's see how far that gets me. I don't really have a lot of intensive things to do. They were also talking about, when you're on your cycle and not really having to really try to push with the workouts, because your body needs more rest, and kind of like these rest cycles that I guess is kind of not part of the culture. And I was glad they touched on that, because for me, I'm like, I definitely deal with kind of, I don't know if I would call it guilt. The guilt seems a little strong, but maybe it's a form of guilt. Yeah, like kind of just feeling like just kind of feeling like guilty if I'm not like, reaching goals every day. Like week 15, I felt, even though like my body and mind were like completely checked out, I was like, I should be working out. I shouldn't have this energy dip. I should be feeling like I just, this caffeine should be kicking in. I should, want to work out. Or even when I, like week 16, when I was like on my cycle and just feeling like I should use this time to like make up for week 15 because I spent like a week of just like dull energy. Like I should be kind of just like pushing more, even though my mind and body and everything in me for almost 2 weeks, with some days that were better than others, but for almost 2 weeks there, just just not having the energy, not having the motivation, not having, even I guess for me that should be a sign, right? Like if the caffeine isn't working, and these pre-workouts are intense, they're strong. It's not like they're just like a little like sip of like, like a little like gulp of like black tea or something. Like this stuff has a lot of stuff going on that pushes your body to kind of work out. But it probably is affecting my cortisol levels. It affects sweat. It affects dry mouth, kind of. Like, I wouldn't say I get intense dry mouth, but I definitely notice I do have to time it. Like, I know I'm going on a bus, and so I'm, like, trying to time my water, but then I'm, like, I've noticed two things, like, either drinking caffeine or brushing my teeth. If I do either of those, I'm gonna need to drink water. Like, I feel like the desire to drink water whenever I do those two things. So those are, like, I notice sometimes if I brush my teeth late, like right before bed, and then I'm like, now I want to drink water. Like my body's feeling like, oh, I want water. And so, I have to be careful if I'm trying to be like, oh, take a bus or oh, use public transit. But then I'm worried about like having to need the bathroom or something, and being like somewhere where how places don't want you to use the restrooms. Like I was worried about that on Saturday because I was like, am I gonna need to use the restroom? So I stopped drinking water at a certain point pretty early in the evening because I was like, it's a record shop. Do record shops have bathrooms available? It's like, and I've been places like downtown LA, like certain spots where it's like you have to like go in a restaurant and like pay for something to be able to use the restroom. Otherwise, like you could walk all around. Like I don't know where I was in, like I think I was in like Little Tokyo or something, and there was like no place to use the restroom at all. Like there was like one burger joint or something, like one like place with burgers or Mexican food or some random kind of combo of just like quick food, and there was supposed to be this like portable kind of bathroom in this one little area kind of near this like bus station area, and like it was closed, it was out of order, and that was like the only bathroom around. Like there was nothing where there was like a restaurant where there was a bathroom around. Like there were like little shops. It was like a little shopping kind of region with a bunch of little like coffee shops and little like trinket shops and like little stores and stuff, but there wasn't really any major thing where there was like a bathroom. And I was thinking, oh, there's gonna be like some place like indoors near like where there's an ATM or something. There's gonna be some hallway where there's gonna be like bathrooms, and they're probably gonna be grody, but there's still probably gonna be bathrooms. Nope, no bathrooms. We asked around and nobody, even security guards who worked there were like, oh, there's no bathrooms in this area, and it's like, what the heck? And so we found this one place when we went to go walk over near where the bathroom was supposed to be. and we walked and were able to see like this little restaurant where they were like, well, if you buy something, you can use the restroom. And then I bought like a Gatorade or something, and I was like, oh, can my friend come in too? And then they're like, yeah, sure. And then a bunch of people started lining up, that weren't even buying anything, because I guess the way the restaurant is you can kind of see that there's like a restroom. There's like a window, like a door, but then that whole glass door is like a whole window. This storefront had like a whole window, and so you could see that there's like a bathroom. You could see the bathroom through the window because it was like right there. There's the little hallway to the bathroom was between the glass wall and like kind of when you walked into the left, it was like there was a wall, and then opposite the wall was that glass right when you walk in, and so you could see it. And then I guess I saw some lady with a baby carriage. She came in, and then some other people came in behind her, and then a bunch of people started lining up. By the time I was getting out of there was like a line of probably like 6-7 people who were in line for that bathroom, because I guess everybody was walking around places looking for a restroom, and then they saw a restroom line and they're like, oh, here we go. And I don't think anyone was hardly even eating at that restaurant, and so I'm guessing people are kind of like just using the bathroom. People are needing a bathroom, and they're kind of keeping their eyes out for something. But there are areas like that in LA where it's like nowadays you can't even expect to really just use the gas station. Like that used to be a normal thing where you go to a gas station and be like, hey, I need the restroom, and they'll just give you the key to the restroom. But I've noticed since the pandemic, at least, a lot of places don't let you use the restroom. And so, and especially certain neighborhoods, if it's like a little bit of a rougher neighborhood with a lot of high foot traffic and stuff like that, where it's not just like people who are just there to like pump their gas or whatever, like there's kind of people loitering, and they don't want people like using the bathroom as their own personal shower and stuff like that, so they kind of, or just messing it up, because like these staff are the ones who are responsible for cleaning it, and the more readily available they make a bathroom, people just trash these places. There are certain places, even like McDonald's or Jack in the Box, where it's just known that the bathrooms are almost always trashed, because people just use it. There's kind of people that kind of have some issues going on, to where they're not really considerate or in a headspace or right mind to where they're able to really consider like, hey, maybe clean up after yourself, you know what I mean? Like they're not really thinking about that at all. But yeah, I've definitely had to try to plan my beverage drinking around these sorts of things, around these sorts of plans of being outdoors. Now Ubering, when I was driving around Ubering and stuff, I kind of realized that with Uber, you get to learn which places you can just walk in, like In-N-Out. It's such a busy place, and their bathrooms, at least the ones I've always seen, have never had like locks on them. Starbucks usually lets you use the bathroom, but they probably want you to buy something, and you're probably going to be in line waiting for that bathroom, and they usually have a code. Denny's usually doesn't have a code. If you could just walk up in there, but sometimes the bathroom might be in the back or something, but sometimes you could just like beeline straight in there. A lot of fast food places in LA, a lot of them do have that kind of like, they have to buzz you in kind of thing. But I'd say In-N-Out, Chipotle, a lot of times Chipotles have bathrooms that are available. A lot of like stores like Smart and Final, A lot of times, like Rite Aid, CVS, a lot of them don't let people use the restroom. I've heard, even though they do have restrooms there. But usually, like stores like Target, Walmart, Vons, those kind of places, they have an easily accessible bathroom. Malls usually have some kind of restroom. Like you're gonna have to like figure out a way to like get to it, but they usually have a restroom. A lot of times, like the big hotels have like a lobby where there's a restroom, but you might not be able to use it. Um, but yeah, a lot of just like business buildings. If they don't have security, they might have just like, you know, an available lobby restroom somewhere around the elevators or something. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not too like concerned about like right now. I'm not too concerned about that, but it is definitely a bad, a bad situation to have people just not really, you know, able to really take care of places around the city to a point where, you know, if you're just like a common person, you gotta kind of map out your whole entire day just to kind of like go do what you're trying to do. I guess, okay. Well, another thing they mentioned in the video was getting up at night to use the restroom a lot. That's not supposed to be that's another sign of like maybe there's an issue going on. But yeah, they mentioned those things like the waking up between 2 and 4 a.m., that I have that problem, the caffeine in the mornings, or feeling like you can't fall asleep or feeling like you can't wake up. For me, it's the falling asleep, and I just get agitated, honestly, when it's like people are up. I feel like they're just kind of like in my space. Like, I've always been a light sleeper, but ever since I've been living with people, I mean, I'd say now it's been like probably 8 years, six, maybe about 8 years. I've been living with people who just, there's a lot of retired people and just people who just don't have, you know, the priority of sleep. Like, they like to be up late, you know, and to me it's a little bit intrusive. It's like, I mean, I don't want to share my mornings with them either. You know, I like my space in the morning. I like that they're sleeping in, so to some extent I like that they're up late, so that means like when I know they're up late, I'm like, good, they're not going to be up at all, you know. Like, I'm not expecting to see anybody this morning hardly at all till closer to when I'm going to leave, and that's fine with me. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody or, you know, anything like that, but that is really kind of something that's a stressor in my life. Just somebody who's just up when I'm trying to sleep. I kind of like my space when I'm trying to sleep. I don't want somebody within earshot of my room, or somebody getting up and you hear the chairs scooting and you hear them walking around the house and you hear them opening and closing doors and like turning on the sinks and flushing toilets and doing all these other things, you know, where it's like that little bit of noise is just like all this like random noise in the background. It's like just when I'm dozing off and like, oh, somebody slams the door, and just when I'm dozing off it's like footsteps, footsteps back, you know. It's like, you know, or somebody's washing the dishes now, or somebody's like talking on the phone or playing phone games or whatever they're doing, you know. It's like, go do it in your room, like go somewhere else, you know. Like, stop just being up. Like, somebody was baking past like 12:30, you know, baking, and I'm pretty sure that's what woke me up, is that I had overheard something, and it kind of just like got me awake. And then they were up again around 1:30, up again around like 2:30 or 3 or something, and it's like every time they're up I hear them and I get a little bit more like agitated, and it's hard for me to go back to sleep because I'm like all getting pissed off and just being like, geez, like, go to bed, you know? But then I don't want other people to get in the habit of going to bed early and waking up early with me, you know? It's like, I don't want to be up in the morning having to deal with other people, you know, while I'm trying to, like, exercise or do my routines or podcast or just quietly work on my own health goals and things, and have somebody just in my ear that just wants it to be social hour or something. I'm not for that either. So it's just a very annoying thing. But I have started looking for jobs like out of state. At this point, I'm almost kind of just like, I just want anything at this point. I almost don't even care. Like anything where I can move and just have a place and not have to like really deal with other people's schedules and things. That would be ideal for me, because I've been sick of it for a while. I'm just trying to like look at the bright side of things too, because I'm like, well, I'm not homeless, and at least it's, you know, civil people. But still, it's like, I would never recommend somebody to live with anybody that doesn't have your same lifestyle goals, or similar overlap at all. Like, you know, if there's people who just don't value the same things, it's gonna get in your way, you know. And I've definitely been learning that the hard way. And I don't know anybody out here who lives exactly how they're wanting to live. Either they're paying too much and struggling, living alone, or having to have more than one source of income, working more than desired, spreading themselves thin, or they're living with people and there's some kind of tension there, at least some of the time. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the only method out of it is just to get a space that is my own space. I mean, even then, you can't guarantee you're not going to be dealing with the neighbors you share a wall with, or the people the floor below, or the people floor below above. Or if you have a unit that's like there's no walls or ceilings or floors touching, and they're like individual units on some properties that are like that, which is rare. But if you do have properties like that, you know, you still might have party animal neighbors. You know, even when I've stayed in hotels and stuff, it's like, there was one kind of near Las Americas, a little bit near there, kind of close to the border. There was this travel lodge, and yeah, the property next door was like a little mobile home park, and every day after people would get off work, they'd be outdoors barbecuing, playing their music, and it would be like a little neighborhood party with like a couple, it looked like 2 or 3 families that would meet up almost every day at like 5:30 p.m. while they were barbecuing, and they'd be outside from like 5:30 to almost like 9 p.m. with their music playing loud. And I was in a hotel for like a month or two, and it was peaceful other than that, and the ceiling was leaking in that hotel room, and then I'd have to check out every so often. Like, you couldn't just keep like booking it, like, because of squatters laws and stuff. They'd make you get out after a certain period of time, because I guess you can get squatters rights if you're somewhere with your stuff in there for more than 30 days in California. And I guess that's a problem with people with hotels, and then they have to take them to court and stuff, because you're not technically allowed to just post up. And a lot of these places, they make it so they have to clean your room every 2 to 3 days. You can't just like stay in there and just like decline room, like the person who's gonna clean. I guess they really want eyes on the property, and to make sure that people aren't damaging things, or that the trash or whatever isn't gonna pile up to a point. But yeah, I remember the ceiling was like pretty much always leaking when it would rain, and I would just take the towels from the bathroom and put them on the floor. But I don't know. I remember, I guess in this video, yeah, mostly you're talking about cortisol, intestinal, liver. I didn't fully understand what they were saying about liver health, but I've noticed some results with having like the ginger tea. It does help me intestinally. Having probiotics too. I'm not having a probiotic at the moment. I did have ginger tea this morning. That probiotic has been very helpful. I've been having like small amounts of it. I might actually start having larger amounts of it. Cause I was saying I don't even drink like a whole scoop's worth down. It's kind of less than that, but just like a little bit of the powder and some water, because it's not that tasty. It does work, it is effective, but also if I'm out, I don't want it kicking in like when I'm like I said, I'm out and about, and then having to already deal with needing to go number one. Who wants to be dealing with having to go number two? Because I feel like number one, even as a female, I could probably get away with peeing somewhere. I could probably figure out somewhere to try to pee. But trying to go number two, I don't know if that's gonna be possible to like figure that one out. Without like begging someone to use the restroom. But I don't know. But it's just kind of annoying to have to deal with that, and then yeah, I guess it's my complaint hour this morning. But yeah, healthier foods. They were saying that like if you're having like really painful periods, that's not normal. Even though we're taught that that's normal, that's not really normal. And that was surprising to me too, because it's almost like that does seem like what's normal. And then people kind of saying the same thing that I've been noticing, how when you go to a doctor, because birth control seems to work for a lot of people, they just recommend birth control. And if you complain about anything, they don't. And somebody on that podcast said the same thing I was saying. I was like, they don't talk about nutrition, they don't talk about stress, health, financial strains, available like healthy lifestyle opportunities, good food, a healthy environment where you can actually sleep every night on time. I don't have that, even though this environment where I live in a lot of ways is healthier than where I was living with all those like nutter people. I'd say food-wise, it's less healthy. I really have to be a lot more cautious because I'm not just relying on my own groceries, and other people are kind of trying to combine their lifestyle and like combine the grocery, sharing, and they're not really buying things based on my preferences. Like a little bit they are, but a little bit they aren't. Like they've stopped with the massive boxes of chips and cookies, but there still are chips and cookies and snacks in the house. There still are like unhealthy things, like there's like whipped cream, and sometimes there's like cakes and brownies and stuff like that, where and I have to say it still regularly, I'm like, stop offering me any snacks. I've already told you, I don't want your snacks. If I want a snack, I'm gonna go buy a snack. We don't have the same view on that. I don't think it's okay, but they don't see a problem with it. But for me, I'm like, this is not the life I want. And even the other day, I got a little irritated with it because they're like, oh, there's like some other snack that they talked about. Like, oh, there's this, and I got candy. I think that's what it was. They were talking about the Easter candy. And I'm just like, I get so irritated with it. It's like, I've already told you, I don't want candy on the holidays. I mean, this has been like a discussion for like years at this point, And like I'm saying, like, people just aren't like fully attuned, you know, they're kind of like impulsive, they don't really pay attention to what you say sometimes, you know. I've made it obvious that I don't want candy from somebody else. If I want candy, I'll buy it myself. If I want cookies and snacks, I'll buy them myself. I've mentioned this more than once, and I kind of was saying the other day, I was like, look, your generation is in and out of the hospital with all these health problems. I literally have an aunt that just had some kind of operation within the last 7 days, you know, and I was just trying to explain. I was like, your generation buys candies and does all these things. I mean, mine does too, but I'm like, the people I know, because they're like, oh, I got this candy, why don't you give it to some of your friends? And I'm like, my friends don't eat candy. Like, my friends are freaking out when they go to Chipotle and they're like, oh, I shouldn't have gotten cheese and sour cream, you know. That's how my friends are, you know. A lot of them, you know, tomorrow we strategically chose to go grab a meal near the beach and get some vegan food at a restaurant, and then because we're gonna take a walk after we eat. It's like we kind of plan to like make healthier choices, you know. All of us see, a lot of my friends see our family members that are older who have all these health issues, and we're like, I don't want that. Like, I see it right in front of my face, and I see the decisions they make, and I'm like, I don't want that. And I see the things that they eat, and I'm like, well, you're eating candy and chips and cookies and all these things, and I'm like, I'm not about that. That's not really what I'm trying to do. Like, yes, I'll eat a little bit of stuff, but I'll buy it myself if I want to eat it. I don't want somebody offering, you know. And it's taken me months and months to get to a point where I'm just like not craving the kind of junk that comes into the house, and it's too tempting. If it's there, it's too tempting. We're gonna eat it, you know. And if I think about the amount of boxes of chips and things that pretty much is one person in the house eating all these chips and cookies. Like, at one point I was eating almost one a day, but they were eating like almost 50, probably 40 to 50, you know, chip bags within like a month or something. It's like, I mean, that's not real food, you know. It's disgusting. And it's, you know, I had gut issues eating that stuff, you know. I definitely noticed some weight loss changes a little bit when I stopped eating it so much. But just having it around, you know, and I even tried to keep it on another side of the house and all this, and I was like, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. And I kept complaining and like kind of bitching and moaning about it, you know. It's like, you know, but I don't know how possible it is to really make all the healthy choices when there's other people who don't have the same idea of their health goals. And like I said, I don't want to combine my life with somebody else, and especially if they're not doing things in a healthy way. It's like, I see people going to doctors having all these diagnoses that I don't have. I mean, I've got my own issues, but I see other people having all these problems that I don't have, and I'm like, well, I don't want your problems, because you're over there, you know, doing your life routines that way, and it's creating issues. And I'm not trying to be victim blaming. I'm just saying, like, the reality of it is, with a lot of things, the routines that we keep are gonna creep into our lives in a good or bad way. We'll see better results, better health results, if we're following the health expectations. And then if we're not following those expectations, we're not going to see good results. So, I mean, I don't really know if there's another way really around it. If you want good results, you make good choices, right? There is some variation. I mean, some people are just completely unhealthy and nothing shows up as obviously unhealthy. But there are other people who also try, and you know, they don't get results as fast as others. But you know, a lot of the things that show up for us, you know, we're gonna realize those things when we start to make different choices. You know, like the choices are really gonna show what's going on. Like if there's problems coming up, you know, so even with like menstrual cycles, I would say it coincides every time that I've had a super stressed lifestyle of sleep deprivation, of eating like a lot of bad foods, like at least those two combinations, drinking alcohol, or using caffeine to kind of supplement the fact that I'm not sleeping as well, just to kind of reach some other goals, because it's like my brain isn't as sharp, my body's not as, you know, desiring to kind of like do, you know, healthy fitness routines when I'm not, you know, pumping myself full of you know, different kinds of, I don't know, problems or whatever. Yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know. I'm trying to figure out, you know, still trying to like figure out kind of a method around that, all that kind of stuff. Because every time I'm getting woken up, now I'm getting like super stressed out and I can't go back to sleep because I'm getting so irritated with it, you know? And it's like, I mean, earplugs can go a long way, but they're not like 100%. And, you know, I know when certain lights are on in the house that I can see from my room, that means that somebody's probably up in another part of the house. And just, you know, I feel like I don't have a lot of privacy in this house at all. You know, at all. Like, literally, there's always somebody just like sitting, like at least this weekend, nobody was literally just like sitting in the kitchen all weekend, but literally, that's how it is almost every day. Somebody's just sitting there from the time they wake up, pretty much for just multiple hours on end. And I know they're like listening for me and stuff too, because they like mention it. They're always like, oh, I didn't hear you, or I didn't know you were home, or like, you know, they're always like strategically around when I'm like coming or going from the door, you know. And it's kind of just the little spy mode that they're in that just really annoys me. It's like, you know, I just don't have a lot of space, and it almost reminds me of like ants or like pests, you know, where it's like they're just all up in your business. You know, roaches or whatever, how they're just like all over your, we don't have roaches thankfully, but it's like, it almost has that same feeling. It's like a critter, just like when you're trying to do something and then here's this fly kind of like trying to get in your room and like hovering around and trying to like land on you and stuff. Like, that's kind of how I feel. It's just like, just very annoyed, you know. It's like there's somebody who's just like being like a pest, you know. That's kind of how I feel like it. It's like just like someone's just being just so annoying, you know. It's like you're up all the time, you're waking me up on a regular basis almost every day, and then, you know, you're waiting till I'm cooking meals, and then you're trying to like be in there when I'm doing that, and then if I decide I want to go outside, then you want to like check and see what I'm doing, and then you want to lock me out, then you want to wait by the door so you can tell me that you didn't know I was outside, but it's like, yes you did, because I saw you look exactly right at me, like that kind of thing. Like those, it's just kind of like, what the heck, you know, things like that where it's like, yeah, people would say like ignore it. It's like, how do you ignore something that annoying? You know, it's just very irritating. Just people with just poor boundaries and just lack of awareness of other people, what they're even asking. And like, my only request really is to just be left alone. Like, I don't really want to be bothered when I'm in the middle of doing stuff. Like, stop trying to listen to my conversations. Stop trying to like just hover around and kind of like try to like spy on what I'm doing. Just mind your own business and do your own things. And like, if I want to talk to you, I'll talk to you. But the more somebody's kind of hovering around doing that kind of stuff, the more I'm like actively avoiding them. Because just like that level is just, and I know it is kind of me being a jerk too, but it's kind of like at a certain point, it's like, my energy is my energy for myself. And if somebody already is like, almost like they're almost like passively being a pest, why am I gonna actively try and like engage with somebody that I'm already trying to like get away from? It's like, it's just too much, but I'm hoping I can find some kind of avenue to kind of just like move. I mean, I don't really want to go do this stupid apartment gig tour thing, but at least, if I go over there, at least it's a little bit out of the house. Plus I have to like go half the distance anyways to go pick something up, so I gotta be out of the house anyways, so I might as well just go do all that at the same time. But yeah, I really don't know. I'm not super sold on just other people's problems. I don't really want to be the one who's always feeling like I'm the one who needs to kind of be there to kind of help everybody. I've got my own problems. People need to help themselves. Like I can't be the one who's being everybody's or certain people's kind of like whatever it is that they're needing me to be at that time. Maybe sometimes, but not all the time. It can't just be like all the time. But I don't know. It's we'll see if I figure out a way around it. But the thing is too, with having like difficult menstrual cycles, that keeps me home a lot more often. That's kept me, with my moodiness and mood swings and things. That's kept me, having like limited tolerance for bosses that are just, complete, just bad people. I don't have the tolerance to put up with a lot of things lately, and who knows if my cycles will ever go back to what the baseline was. And the baseline still wasn't even good, but it's kind of hard for me to get past this certain point. I think I definitely need to find a way to improve my sleep. I tried last night. I was like, lights out, like 9 o'clock, I was gonna have lights out. I actually ended up taking a shower like about 10-15 minutes before I went to bed. I was like, let me just do that first, and then I just put my lights out right when I got out of the shower and everything. And I was kind of just, I wasn't really sleepy though. I wasn't very tired very early last night, but I did go to bed for like a couple hours before I was just up for like multiple hours. And it's like, that's not a good way to start a week. And it's kind of affected my whole morning. It was one thing to have my Sunday affected by Saturday of kind of partying, and it's one thing to have a Saturday affected by Friday. But I can't be having like Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday messed up. That's not really gonna work. I mean, my job opportunities as they even are right now are very not so great. job market really sucks, and the application system really sucks, and trying to do all these different things, it really is not fun to try to kind of figure out all this other stuff. But I don't know, that's my whole complaining episode pretty much about just, that's just the mood I'm in this morning. It's just complaining mood. I'm not happy. I'm not, very pleased with where things are right now. I don't feel refreshed. I don't feel great at all. I don't feel good at all. I'm not gonna have a miserable morning. I refuse to have just a completely miserable day. Nothing like that, but I don't like that I don't have a lot of opportunities to look forward to this week, as far as other than stuff that I kind of make for myself with my own goals. That's kind of the only thing that's kind of within my own control for the most part. And that's kind of why I've been leaning into those things, like fitness and all that kind of stuff. Because it's well, I can control this. I can decide when I do or don't work out. I can decide what I do or don't eat. When I cook, when I go to bed, when I wake up, what I consume, where I go, what I do. I can, kind of, I can use that, as at least one way to reach some of the goals. At least my health is improving. A lot of it is improving. I don't know about the menstrual stuff. I guess the ginger tea is one thing that helps. I don't know if Advil really helps. I mean, it kind of helps with the pain, but it's I'm taking more Advil now than I've ever taken in my life, just because I've finally learned how to take it, because I can't swallow it and I have to chew the pills. And so I've finally learned, if you take it with a meal and drink a water bottle with it, at least it'll stay down. Because before, I used to take it in high school or ibuprofen or something, and I'd always just be vomiting it up. But it wasn't till maybe grad school that the first day of my period I was even able to eat, because I would get that bit of nausea and I wouldn't usually eat for a whole day. I wouldn't eat, and then I started eating a little bit the day of and realized, oh, I can eat and I actually don't get nauseous if I actually do eat a little bit, during that first day, because I was basically not eating for a whole entire day. A whole almost 24 hours I would just avoid eating anything because I couldn't keep food down. I would get nauseous. I would I wasn't taking anything for pain or anything like that, but I used to have 1 day of cramps, and it was usually 12 hours of cramps and 12 hours, I guess, not 24, probably 12 hours of not eating. But now, I don't know, it's different now. I'm still trying to get my bearings with a lot of it and try to figure out where I can kind of optimize my health. But I don't know if it's going to be possible. I may have hit a wall with some of this stuff. I still want to learn more. I'm going to try to look through more of this lady's videos and stuff and see what other content she has out there. There was also this Andrew Huberman episode where he had a couple different women on who were talking about menstrual health, and it's just kind of complicated, and I don't really know how to really navigate this kind of a thing, because it's I I've got goals. The economy's not helping me reach them. And Los Angeles itself, Southern California, is maybe not the best place to try to move or try to get your money to a situation that is affordable to live independently, quickly. I mean, if I had a better job and stuck it out here, I could probably predict that if I was going to save to get a house, it would take multiple years of saving. Like my friends who saved 5 years just to afford a place. Like, I don't think I could stay here 5 years. I don't know. I've already been here like just about 3 years, and that's already too many. So I don't think I could do 5. Like, I'm already kind of on the verge often of feeling like I'm gonna kind of lose my mind, you know, if things don't kind of like budge a little bit more, you know. Like, I'm definitely trying to pace myself, and I'm not really in that mentality where it's like I don't have control over any of my emotions. I'm not really like that. Like, I can kind of, with my life having been slowed down at least, I can kind of very easily identify, like even last night when I wasn't sleeping good, the first thing I was thinking was, man, I had a great workout and a great weekend, and I already knew, I was like, I'm gonna wake up, hopefully the gains aren't gonna be affected from not having slept good, and hopefully I'm not gonna have to alter all of my day's plans from sleep deprivation. Like, that's pretty much what I was thinking last night. I was like, because I already knew that it's going to affect my next day. Like, I'm aware of it. And I'm aware, as I'm talking, about the things I was experiencing last night and how I could even predict the impacts it was going to have. And I'm not trying to be like, I can't do certain stuff because I didn't sleep well or whatever. I think I kind of did sleep well because I slept in. I didn't wake up at like 5. I got up at like 7:30. So I did naturally I didn't set an alarm. So I just ended up getting probably about the amount of sleep I needed. Spread out, you know. Almost, well, maybe I was like maybe an hour short, but you know, not significantly. Not like way significantly. But I don't know. I mean, I might need to move on to Plan C because Plan B isn't working. Plan A didn't really work. Plan B is kind of like somewhat working, somewhat not. Like, I'm getting more interviews. It seems like, you know, I'm getting more interviews, possibly more potential opportunities. But yeah, I really don't know if I'm fully functioning the way I would prefer to. Let's kind of see here. The bus should leave in about 30 minutes. Let me double check that and see if it looks like it's almost on time. So now I'm like, I don't want to drink too much water. Let's see. I'm sorry for the whole complaining episode. I know, you know, people probably don't want to hear it at this point. They're probably just sick of me when I'm yammering on like this. But, yeah, it looks like There's a 10:04. There's a 10:13. I think the 10:13 is about 10 minutes faster of a bus. Yeah, it looks like 10:13 is going to be about the time. If I miss 10:13's time, I'm going to end up with 10:41. So let me just test this out. See what happens. I guess we'll see. We're going to see what happens today. Alright, with the bus, I did a total of 1.2 miles of walking. Gonna get in a little more stretching tonight and then kind of just call it a night. I'm gonna have to calculate the profits on this day because I spent $14 on a burrito because I was hungry by the time I got out there. $3 on a Gatorade because somebody, kind of wanted my water bottle, and then I gave that same unhoused person $7 cash because she circled back after a while when I was eating and asked me if I could give her my leftovers, and so I just gave her the cash because I was like, I kind of actually wanted to eat the food. So I drank the Gatorade and ate about a third of the burrito. Once I got home, I got there around 11:20 something. Once I got home, it was like 1:30 or something like that. So, yeah, it was a long day. I'm just gonna call that today's mild workout. It wasn't a lot, but I took the wrong bus once. My focus was completely off. I was like on the bus, and then after a while I was like, let me check if we're going in the right direction, and I had looked at the map wrong, thinking that I was on the bus that I had clicked the time of, but I was on a different bus going another direction. So I got off the bus. The next bus came at about 8 minutes later across the street, so I took that back about so what should have been about a 20-minute ride home turned into like an hour ride home on two buses. So, but one of them didn't charge, so I ended up getting that free wrong bus ride for free pretty much. But $1.75, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So all that to make $40. And I was pretty tired to be out like that. Took an edible when I got home. I emailed the apartment gig place and told them I'll be there. I'll upload the rest of the information. I gave them the general info, and I'll upload the photos and details tomorrow. And I didn't even get to meet with anybody. The place was kind of run down. I didn't see anybody. Maybe 1 or 2 cars parked in the parking. Can't get in any of the gates. Can't buzz in. Main doors were tinted shut and locked, and I knocked a couple times, waited a long time. Tried calling a couple times. There was no way in, there was no way to buzz it in. I only saw one lady outside on the corner smoking, and I kind of asked her a little quick question about if she knows when the office is open, and she didn't even really respond. So, and there were some people on the nearby intersection on all corners kind of asking for some funds for a funeral. Part of me is like, I almost hope that they're not telling the truth just because that's really sad if they lost somebody. I'd honestly rather have them lying about it. It might sound dumb to say that, but I really hope, like usually I'm like, oh, I hope that the people who are asking for money are being honest, but then with that situation, I don't really hope that they're being honest. I don't hope that they've lost somebody. I'd hope that they're lying about it and scamming people. I don't know how else to say that. That's kind of dark, I know. But and oh yeah, I got a fake job interview offer through Microsoft Teams fake link. So that was nice. I circled back to one of the people who had contacted me. They kind of ghosted me, and then I was like, let me just try again. And nope. So I'm just gonna go to bed early. I've kind of had enough of today, enough of the city. I'm kind of like over the city at the moment, and just I've been watching like gypsy weddings and videos about gypsy culture and just trying to like chill. Nothing's really seeming that interesting. This is my first day back with edibles. I don't know, I almost hate to say it, I'm not really digging it too much. I think I kind of like vaping more. I haven't been having edibles for a while, but I'm like, I don't know about this effect for today. I'm kind of like, I don't know, I've had fun with it in the past and it felt relaxing, but I don't really know about today. I'm like, I don't know. It's not a bad feeling, but it's like kind of more intense than what I want to feel. I'd rather feel kind of less. And I'm kind of feeling a lot. Like I'm really kind of like tuned in to like different stuff that I'm engaging with and kind of like thinking about it in depth, and I don't really know if I really am in the mood to really think in depth about a lot of stuff lately, like recent experiences. Like some of them are fun. The weekend was fun. But as far as a lot of things coming across today, I'm like, I don't know. The part of town that I was in was kind of a nice part of town. The last time I went there was for that weed, Torrance's first Pride, at that weed event in June of 2025. That was Torrance's very first Pride event, and they had their Pride at a little indoor like jazz club place, but it was like the same weekend, I think, but not the same day. Like I think the weed event was the Friday, and maybe Saturday or something, or Sunday was, either one was the Pride event indoors. And so it was pretty cool, but I haven't really been over that way since about then. And it just, there used to be a Mitsuwa over there, and the Japanese shopping center over there is pretty nice, but that's kind of the border, like Carson and Western, that's kind of the border of, well, a little maybe, I don't know, not that far east, but that shopping center is about the border of where things used to be kind of better looking. But that Mitsuwa, they moved it over to the mall, and the mall area has kind of flourished. But over east, if you keep driving down Carson, like that kind of border right there, it's looking pretty rough. It was kind of a nicer part of town, but if you keep going east, pretty much anywhere, if you keep going east, it gets a little bit more rough. But I don't know, and gas is like over $6 in some places. It's like $6.50 or something. I saw like $6.35 or so for like the 87. I'm pretty sure I saw more, but that was one that I know I saw, for sure. That's not the most expensive, but it's not the cheapest either. There is still some gas like in the $5 range, $5.45 or so. But just seeing the price of this crappy apartment complex, like all that stuff that I was witnessing within a block or two at 11:30 a.m. on a Monday, like, these aren't high like foot traffic times necessarily. To have all that commotion going on within a block of this apartment I'm trying to view, and the apartment before utilities, just rent alone, they're asking 1 bedroom $2,025, 2 bedroom $2,600, I believe it was. And that, it was one of those areas where you walk by and the streets smell like piss, kind of like that, where you're kind of like almost holding your breath. It wasn't quite downtown feel, but it almost had that downtown LA feel where it's like it hasn't had like enough years of the kind of grody-ness to it, but it's kind of like early years of the grody-ness. And I did kind of notice the little bit of change last when I was there in June, last time for that event. I noticed a bit of change, but I didn't notice, like, there was, I was like at a planned event, and I was just talking to the people there. All I did was like cross the street from where I had parked and was interacting with the people in line and a little bit at the booths and stuff, and it was an enjoyable event. I just got back to my car and went home, and it was daylight, just like today's daylight, but there was nobody really like around, kind of like approaching or like trying to like interact, it was just kind of like go to the event. It was fine, but I don't know, guys, it's kind of unfortunate how that area is kind of beginning to look, and then being on the bus every so often, there's kind of like a strange individual on there. You see all kinds of people, and I mean, I'm not unfamiliar with this part of the city, or even this type of area of the city, like that kind of like rougher kind of area of the city. Like, I'm just not used to it being in that spot. I'm used to it being a little more like on the other side of the freeway, maybe on the other side of the 110. Usually that's kind of where it gets a little more kind of rougher, east that direction. The areas kind of west of the 110 were usually kind of like a little bit more peaceful, a little more cleaned up, but that area was a lot more cleaned up than it is now. Like, and I wasn't there that long, and I was like, man, there's a lot of commotion going on with just people, like somebody else kind of like approached me when I was eating and asked me something about how the food was and like, is it good, or like, just, I'm like, yeah, like I'm friendly to people, and maybe they see that, I'm not like making direct eye contact or like actively avoiding. I'm kind of just being neutral with people. Like, I wasn't in a mood to have somebody sit down and try to start a conversation or anything, but the Mexican food was good. I got a burrito. It was a good burrito, great salsa. I'm glad I still have a little bit of it remaining so I can finish it tomorrow. It's pretty good, but I don't really like what I saw. Kind of same way I felt when I was in downtown LA. When was that? Like in January. I haven't been there since like January. Jeez. But near January or February for class. I didn't really like it. I didn't really like what I had seen. Like, I'm used to there being people on the streets, that's not an unfamiliar thing. But when you're seeing it kind of in areas where it's not normally there, and like the borders are like shifting, like it seems like every few months it's like shifting a couple blocks, in a direction where it normally isn't. And that's kind of the feel I've gotten with a lot of areas in LA. I noticed it when I started doing Ubering and being in various areas where I was like, this is interesting. I used to like come over here and like hang out with like friends, and my friends would skate here, or like we would just like get fast food and like chill in this parking lot and eat, and it would be like a nice Vons or Albertsons parking lot with just like housewives and just local people. Like, there were never like people harassing the kids. There weren't like people on whatever they're on, just like zombies like staggering around. Like, it was like, like people were just shopping, doing their thing. We used to be able to just take the bus all over town as teens and grab fast food, grab some food, go skate, bring our bikes, whatever, go to the movies, walk around from one place to another, down different streets, and go into different shops and stuff. And like, as worried as my parents were and as cautious as they were, there wasn't really that much of a reason to really worry. And I'm an adult who's lived in this city for a very long time, and I'm even like a little bit like, you gotta watch out, like the amount of people just like approaching you. And I don't leave the house looking like I'm put together, I don't think. Maybe I do, like maybe that's what it is. I don't think I'm drawing any like undue attention. Like, I'm not that fashionable. I don't wear like name brands. Like, the nicest name brand thing I have was like old, like kind of not super tattered, but if you look closely, they're kind of scuffed up, like trail running Adidas, and like a Hurley long sleeve button down, like an LA cap. Like, I'm not wearing like jewelry. I have like a leather bracelet, glasses, just like socks off of Amazon. Like, same, like if you look closely at a lot of my clothes, they have little like holes. They're a little tattered. I'm not like completely like cleaned up, but like what I was wearing, like I basically took a shower and put on nice, like presentable, clean clothes. A lot of people I was encountering were wearing like flip-flops, kind of like slippers, just like socks, kind of dirty socks, kind of like dirtier clothes, older kind of like clothes, like kind of tattered sweats, maybe kind of like run down, like not kind of crisp like shirts and stuff, like kind of casual, like what you would kind of wear if you're like maybe like it's laundry day, or like, you know, you're just like sitting around the house not expecting anybody, like not quite like not like dirty or whatever, but not, well, yeah, a little dirty. Some of the people I encountered were a little dirty and definitely on something with like physical dirt on them and stuff. It is not good to see. It is not, that was not pleasant. And I mean, I don't know how to say this, like, I'm not kind of being like, oh, I don't like certain areas of town, but it's like, lately I've been trying to save a lot of money, so I don't really go places unless I'm like going with like an exact purpose. Like, I'm not joyriding around town, you know. When I meet people, it's kind of like close to my place. Like, I'm not trying to go all the way like somewhere too far, you know. I try to keep it pretty local. I haven't really been venturing out as much, especially with this class and everything, and I haven't been Ubering as much. So, you know, I've really been not so intensive on, you know, bringing in funds and that kind of thing. A little bit, but not, you know, it's more like I'm putting in work mentally a lot of the time lately. So, that was just, I really don't know how to express what I even feel about all this. Because I'm just seeing LA, like, change, like, literally month by month before my eyes. Like, places where I grew up that were safer looking, you know, buses that I've taken all my life that I don't remember having any, like, kind of weirdos or, like, first-hand or second-hand witnessing any, like, too much strange stuff. I can maybe recall 2 experiences that were kind of strange when I was growing up, and one of them was somebody had a what do you call it? Like a bag, like some kind of bag of something super smelly. My friend said it was the person who smelled really bad, and I thought whatever they were carrying in that bag was smelling really bad. It was bad. Like, there were some people on the bus that had sage, and they were like taking it out, putting it in their nostrils. Luckily, this one lady near us had these like wet wipes, and she gave us all like wet wipes, and we kind of just stuffed them in our nose, and that was like the only way we could kind of breathe. It was bad. Like, it was one of those smells that even if you plugged your nose, you still felt like you were almost smelling it. Like, it was one of the most horrific smells I've been trapped with. And I think the person took maybe 2 or 3 stops and then got off. Like, I don't think they were on there way too long, but the stench, like, for years after that, whenever I would walk past like a dumpster, that smell, if it was like anything similar, it would be that familiar disgusting smell. Like, it really stuck with me for a really long time. It was pretty gross. And another time, I think we're in a school bus this time though, on a trip, and it was like a yellow school bus that they'd rent out because we didn't have buses. But we took like one of those, I don't think it was a yellow bus, but it was like the same style as those yellow school buses, but just like a bus that wasn't like an actual, it was a school bus to take a trip, and it wasn't like a luxury bus or like a Greyhound or anything like that. Just, it looked just like a school bus on the inside, but I don't think it was yellow on the outside. It was like green or something. And we got in it, and we were just taking a trip across town. I don't know where we're going, like maybe La Brea Tar Pits or maybe some museum or something. And somebody on the street threw a brick through the window. of the bus, and we had to like stop, and I remember the person whose seat got hit. I think he was fine. He probably had some scratches. I don't really remember what came of it, but those are the only times, as all the times I took the bus, that I remember it being like pretty rough and bad. So what do I make of that? I really don't know. Like, I really don't know what to think or feel. Like, it's a lot to kind of take in. It's like every time I like venture out a little bit, I get to witness the city in a way that I do not really like. And, you know, just doing little side hustles and stuff. Like, I'm not, you know, the other end that I'm on is like trying to get a foot in the door at like a decent company. And like I said, I got like some weird, you know, fake interaction today. It's like, I guess Mondays are my day, scam Mondays or something. When I was sleeping last night, trying to sleep, I was on my phone at like 2:30 in the morning, just looking at it, whatever I was looking at, and, you know, I got a call that came in, meaning that they had double called because my phone stays on Do Not Disturb. This number comes in from like some other state, and I tell this person, you know, this is a personal cell phone number. It says Los Angeles. It's past 2:30. It's like 2:34 a.m. You know, I was trying to be nice, but I was just like, I don't even know why this person's calling me. And they said my number is listed on the site for after hours for some kind of like truck repairs, or like they had like a work order in or something. And I guess they were calling about a work order, and I'm just like, what site are you seeing my name or seeing my number? Like, she told me what the number was, and I was just like, that doesn't make any sense. No, wrong number. And I was trying not to be impolite, because I'm like, what if it's somebody who works for some company and like they're broken down somewhere after hours and they're trying to like, I don't know what. But why would somebody be calling about a work order at like 2:30 in the morning? Like, any time in the US. I mean, like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, who's working even at like 5:30 in the morning, really? Like, most people aren't. So to be trying to call a company that you think after, but I guess if the number's listed after hours, that makes sense. But it was weird, and I kind of did ask a few questions, because I was like, and I went and looked up the number, and it was her number, and it was coming from where she said she was calling from. But I don't know why my number is listed on somebody's website. But just overall weird kind of day. And maybe I'm just focusing on the negative. I mean, I ate a lot of good food. Probably a little too much cookies, but I did eat a lot of good food today, so. And got a little bit of exercise and sunshine and fresh air. I was sweating like a lot, you know. I did need that water with me. I'd only had the warm water. I missed my bus earlier. I was taking too long brushing my teeth, and I think I missed the bus just by like 1 minute. So I went down to the corner, and then I was like, oh, the bus isn't coming for another like 20 something minutes. So I went back home, or like almost 30 minutes. So I just went back home. It's like, whatever. You know, ran into the neighbor, said hi. The neighbor that's like my age. He was taking his dog out to walk. I I was just, trying to, I don't know, like, just trying to make a buck today. But I did spend some of the profits. I'm not against carrying food, but it's like, I didn't really want to accidentally bring something that might smell bad or whatever. Because I like carrying a little drawstring bag, but I guess if I carried a backpack, that would be better. Because at least it looks nicer. But I don't know. I don't know. Like, I was hearing some stuff about jobs in Vegas too. People saying things like they can't even find jobs in Vegas, and I'm like, well, I don't know. That's kind of where I was gonna try to plan to land in. And the South isn't looking that good either, so I don't even want to live in the South. But at least I know people there. But I don't know. Things are not looking too good. I'm gonna meet up with a friend tomorrow. One of my friends hopefully they finish their move today. The other one, I'm gonna meet up with her and try and see what she's got going on. She was supposed to move too, but not really like in the way that was gonna be an ideal move. So we're supposed to meet up tomorrow. Probably gonna grab a smoothie. I don't know what else. We're meeting up at 11 a.m. So we'll be able to get a nice beach walk in after lunch and then kind of just chill. And yeah, I might work out in the morning. We'll see. I might try and take it even a little bit easier on the caffeine. Because if I rest fine, I should be good tomorrow. But, I really felt like being out today, I had to replenish my energy when I got back. Like, I was really, feeling like I need to keep eating. I need some nutrition. I was feeling a little deficient. I took my iron. I found out, I guess, I don't know how I calculated wrong last time, but I counted, and it looks like in the bottle there were, I think, 35 remaining of the 60 tablets. So that means before I took it today, that means I'd only taken the iron for 25 days, or 25 days, yeah, because there's 60 tablets. I thought I had taken it for multiple weeks for some reason, but only 25 days. That's almost 4 weeks. So I know I skipped a couple days here or there, but I don't know where I got that. Last time I think I said 7 or 5 weeks or something. I don't know what I had been calculating, but because I'm only taking one a day, so I don't know. I took my probiotics. I got through, I think in the whole day, probably one, we call it a cup, or one of the scoops. I had just about half a scoop twice a day. I gotta see the serving size on it, but I think it's one scoop. The second one, I put it in some hot ginger tea, stirred it in, and then cooled it all down with some chilled water so I could drink it right away. And it actually just gives the ginger tea like the slight, almost like hint of like cinnamony kind of flavor. Like it was pretty pleasant. So that was my second ginger tea today. So I'm trying, if I can't do every single thing, trying to do a lot of the things on the list, what's within my power. You know, I did a little bit of everything today. My schedule's off, my energy was already off to start with, so I actually thought I was gonna sleep in the middle of the day. I thought I was gonna like nap, and I didn't even do that, and it's 8:11 p.m. right now, so and I didn't take a nap at all, so I really wanted to, but I did lounge around a lot, but I didn't really take an official nap, so I don't know. And I did overeat because of the munchies, but it's gonna be today only. I'm gonna try to, today was already not the greatest start, so let me just, if it's gonna be a wash, I might as well wash the whole day, you know what I mean, instead of like make it, less, like try to like cram stuff or try to nap and then do more. I was like, let me just be tired, do a little bit of everything. I put in about 10 to 15 minutes on the survey, about 10 to 15 minutes trying to figure out that Microsoft Teams scam thing. The vitamins I took and all that kind of stuff. And just trying to get some rest at least, brainstorming a little bit. But yeah, my mood, I was moody all day. And, I kind of spent a little bit on the cannabis products that I probably didn't need to really spend. But I don't think I'm gonna go through them very fast. I'm probably gonna be spacing them out because I don't know. I've got so much to do. Like, I've been used to being kind of more like on top of my game a little bit more. I can't have a lot of days like today. When I was expecting today to be pretty smooth, I wasn't expecting it to be all over the place, but it got done. All the moving pieces kind of got done enough for today, and then I'm gonna wake up early and do what I need in the morning, and I'll be done with it. We'll try this again. It's 8:30 p.m. Lights out is gonna be 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. Jeez. Probably put some earplugs in around 9:30 p.m. Somebody just showered already, so that should be fine. I'll see in the morning if I think maybe they took out the recycling, but if not, I'll take it out in the morning. I got maybe a little bit of house chores to kind of get to. My laundry's still in the dryer, but it should be clean. I didn't wash the towels yet, so once I work out tomorrow, I might throw the towels in. I don't know what else to really say. Like, I'm kind of figured out some boundaries with a certain friend of mine. If they want to start getting personal about some stuff, I've decided I'm done talking with this person about certain topics. So I'm gonna leave that alone. I'll talk to them about other stuff, but not that kind of thing that I don't want to talk about. And then I don't know, like I feel better venting about it, but it's still like, I'm not okay with how my energy and my mood were today, but I'm okay with maybe the amount that I got done. Because it was already draining. I was already sleep deprived, so yeah. But I guess for now, that's about all I've really got with that. Alright, I'm gonna call it. Thanks for listening.